It's often said that a large proportion of cancers may be influenced by lifestyle factors, and one of the most powerful areas you can control is your daily diet. While no single food can cause or cure cancer on its own, research shows that long-term dietary patterns play a major role in either promoting or protecting against disease. In this video, we're going to break down 4 major categories of foods that may create an internal environment where cancer cells are more likely to grow and thrive. More importantly, you'll learn a simple, science-based nutritional framework that can help reduce inflammation, support your immune system, and promote a healthier internal balance that makes it harder for abnormal cells to develop and spread. To understand why food matters, you need to understand how cancer develops. For cancer cells to grow and multiply, they depend on several key biological factors. A steady fuel supply, often in the form of glucose. Chronic inflammation, which damages tissues and disrupts normal cell regulation. Growth signals, such as insulin and insulin-like growth factor, 1, IGF-1, which encourage cell division. And the development of a blood supply, known as angiogenesis, which feeds tumors and allows them to expand. Many elements of the modern diet can influence these pathways, sometimes in subtle ways that people don't immediately recognize. Most people already know to be cautious about excess sugar, processed meats, or chemical exposure. But one of the most overlooked contributors is found in foods that are often marketed as healthy or convenient. Ultra-processed emulsifiers, the hidden risk. A particularly concerning category is ultra-processed food additives, known as emulsifiers. These ingredients are used by food manufacturers to improve texture, extend shelf life, and create that smooth, creamy consistency people enjoy. You'll commonly find them in protein bars and healthy snack products, dairy-free milks and creamers, ice creams and frozen desserts, bottled salad dressings, low-fat or high-protein yogurts, gluten-free packaged foods. 2 emulsifiers that have drawn scientific attention are polysorbate 80 and carboxymethylcellulose, CMC. Experimental studies, particularly in animal models, have shown that these compounds may disrupt the gut barrier, which normally acts as a protective shield, alter the gut microbiome, the community of beneficial bacteria essential for immune health, increase intestinal permeability, sometimes referred to as leaky gut, promote chronic low-grade inflammation, a known contributor to many chronic diseases, including cancer. Here's why this matters. Your gut lining is designed to be tightly regulated. It acts as a selective filter, allowing nutrients in while keeping harmful substances out. A thin mucus layer protects this lining and keeps bacteria at a safe distance from immune cells. Certain emulsifiers appear to weaken or thin this protective mucus layer. When that barrier is compromised, bacteria and inflammatory compounds can come into closer contact with the immune system. Over time, this can trigger persistent inflammation, metabolic changes, and immune dysregulation. And this is where the connection to cancer risk comes in. Cancer does not develop overnight. It thrives in environments characterized by inflammation, oxidative stress, and immune imbalance. Emulsifiers don't directly feed cancer cells in the traditional sense, but they may help create the internal conditions that allow abnormal cells to survive and grow more easily. A useful way to think about it is this. If cancer is the spark, then chronic inflammation and gut disruption act like dry fuel, making it easier for that spark to spread. The good news is that reducing your intake of these additives is both simple and practical. 1. Read ingredient labels. Carefully look out for names such as polysorbate 80 or 60, carboxymethylcellulose, CMC, cellulose gum, carrageenan, mono, and diglycerides. If a product contains multiple additives you don't recognize, it's often a sign it's highly processed. 2. Choose simpler, minimally processed alternatives. Opt for plant-based milks with just a few ingredients, e.g., water, nuts, salt. Use natural dairy options like cream or milk if suitable for you. Make homemade salad dressings using olive oil, vinegar, and herbs. Select snacks and protein bars with short, recognizable ingredient lists. 3. Focus on whole foods as your foundation. Build your meals around vegetables, fruits, legumes, whole grains, nuts, seeds, and clean protein sources. These foods naturally support gut health, reduce inflammation, and provide protective compounds like fiber and antioxidants. Your daily food choices don't just provide calories, they actively shape your internal environment. By reducing ultra-processed additives like emulsifiers and prioritizing whole, nutrient-dense foods, you can support your gut, reduce inflammation, and create conditions that are far less favorable for disease development. Small, consistent changes truly add up, and when it comes to long-term health, prevention is one of the most powerful tools you have. Number 3. The Grandma Rule, a simple way to reduce hidden risks. One of the simplest and most practical guidelines you can follow for better health is what I like to call the Grandma Rule. Think about it this way: if your grandmother or someone who cooked with real, whole ingredients wouldn't recognize what's listed on the back of a food label, your body may struggle with it too. This isn't just a clever saying, it reflects a deeper scientific principle. Highly processed foods often contain artificial additives, stabilizers, and chemical compounds that your body hasn't evolved to handle efficiently. These substances can disrupt gut health, alter metabolism, and contribute to chronic low-grade inflammation, which is one of the key biological environments associated with long-term disease development. Inflammation, in particular, plays a central role in many chronic conditions. It can damage tissues, interfere with normal cellular repair, and create conditions where abnormal cells are more likely to survive and grow. So, by simply choosing foods with familiar, recognizable ingredients, you're already taking a powerful step toward reducing that internal inflammatory burden. Hidden risk: food contamination before it reaches your plate. Another important, and often overlooked, factor is that food quality isn't just about what's added to it. It's also about what may contaminate it before it even reaches your kitchen. One example is a group of naturally occurring toxins called aflatoxins. Aflatoxins are produced by certain molds that grow on crops when they are stored in warm, humid conditions, especially when moisture control is poor. These toxins are most commonly found in foods like
peanuts,
pistachios, almonds, and walnuts.
corn, grains.
It's important to clarify something clearly. These foods themselves are not harmful. In fact, nuts and whole grains are generally very nutritious. The concern arises only when they are improperly stored or contaminated during harvesting, storage, or transportation. Aflatoxins have been studied extensively because of their potential to damage DNA directly, overload the liver's detoxification systems, increase long-term risk of liver-related diseases with chronic exposure. But the key concept here is exposure over time, not fear or complete avoidance. You don't need to eliminate nuts or grains from your diet. Instead, focus on smarter sourcing and storage. Choose reputable brands that follow strict quality control and proper storage practices. Prefer products sourced from drier climates, where mold growth is less likely. Avoid buying large quantities of nuts in bulk unless you're sure of their freshness. Store nuts in the refrigerator or freezer to slow mold growth. Try to consume them within a few weeks after opening. Light roasting may reduce some contamination, but it does not eliminate it completely. This approach allows you to keep the nutritional benefits of these foods while minimizing potential risks. Another major issue in modern diets is the overconsumption of refined carbohydrates. Foods like white bread, pastries, sugary cereals, soda, and sweetened drinks are rapidly broken down into glucose in the body. Glucose is essential. It's a primary energy source for all cells. However, consistently high levels of blood sugar can create metabolic conditions that may contribute to long-term health problems. In cancer biology, there's a well-known concept called the Warburg effect. This describes how many cancer cells rely heavily on glucose for energy and tend to process it differently than normal cells, even when oxygen is available. But it's important to keep this in perspective. Glucose itself does not cause cancer, and completely eliminating carbohydrates is neither practical nor healthy for most people. What matters more is the type and quality of carbohydrates you consume. Frequent spikes in blood sugar can lead to elevated levels of hormones like insulin and IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor 1. These hormones play normal roles in growth and repair, but chronically high levels may promote excessive cell signaling, increase inflammation, contribute to metabolic imbalance. Over time, This environment may support abnormal cell behavior if other risk factors are present. Instead of eliminating carbs, the goal is to choose smarter carbohydrates, ones that are digested more slowly and provide steady energy without sharp spikes. Here are practical swaps. Replace white bread with whole grain or sprouted grain bread. Swap refined pasta for lentils, chickpeas, or quinoa. Choose oats with berries instead of sugary cereals. Replace pastries and sweets with Greek yogurt and fresh fruit. These options are richer in fiber, vitamins, and antioxidants, which help stabilize blood sugar, support gut health, reduce inflammation. You don't need extreme diets or fear-based restrictions to protect your health. Instead, follow the grandma rule. Choose simple, recognizable foods. Be mindful of food quality and storage, not just ingredients. Focus on balanced, whole food carbohydrates rather than eliminating them. These small, consistent choices create a healthier internal environment, one that supports your immune system, reduces unnecessary inflammation, and promotes long-term wellness. Because in the end, it's not about one perfect food. It's about the pattern you follow every single day. In general, one of the most effective steps you can take for long-term health is to reduce your intake of added sugars wherever possible. This doesn't mean eliminating all sweetness from your life, but it does mean being mindful of how often you consume foods like pastries, cookies, soft drinks, sweetened teas, energy drinks, and other highly processed sugary products. The reason this matters is that these foods are rapidly broken down into glucose, leading to quick spikes in blood sugar and insulin. Over time, frequent spikes can contribute to metabolic stress, inflammation, and hormonal imbalances, all of which are linked to chronic disease development. A smarter approach is to shift toward whole food sources of carbohydrates, foods that naturally contain fiber. Fiber slows down digestion, allowing glucose to enter the bloodstream more gradually. This helps maintain stable energy levels and reduces stress on your body. Good examples include berries and whole fruits, beans and lentils, whole grains like quinoa and oats. These foods don't just provide energy, they also deliver antioxidants, vitamins, and plant compounds that support overall health. And for those who enjoy soft drinks, whether you call it soda or pop, there are practical alternatives that can make a big difference. Swapping sugary beverages for options like unsweetened tea, sparkling water, or occasionally diet soda can significantly reduce your overall sugar intake without feeling overly restrictive. The key takeaway here is simple. You don't have to eliminate carbohydrates entirely. You just need to choose the types that nourish your body rather than overwhelm it. Another area that is often misunderstood is alcohol consumption. Many people believe that moderate drinking is harmless, or even beneficial in some cases. However, from a cancer research perspective, alcohol has been classified by the International Agency for Research on Cancer as a Group 1 carcinogen, the highest risk category, indicating strong evidence that it can contribute to cancer development. It's important to clarify, this classification does not mean alcohol carries the same level of risk as smoking in all contexts. But it does mean there is a clear, evidence-based link between alcohol consumption and certain types of cancer. Even relatively small amounts of alcohol have been associated with increased risk of breast cancer, colorectal cancer, liver cancer, esophageal cancer. So, what's happening inside the body? When alcohol is metabolized, it is converted into a compound called acetaldehyde. This substance is toxic and can damage DNA directly, increasing the risk of mutations, trigger inflammation, interfere with the body's natural DNA repair processes. In addition, alcohol can deplete essential nutrients, particularly B vitamins, which are important for cellular repair, disrupt hormone balance, especially estrogen levels, act as a solvent, making it easier for other harmful substances to penetrate tissues. In other words, alcohol doesn't just create damage on its own, it can also amplify the effects of other risk factors. Research has shown that even as little as 1 drink per day may increase the risk of certain cancers, particularly breast cancer. However, this isn't about fear, guilt, or extreme restriction. The goal is awareness and balance. A practical and realistic approach is to reduce overall intake. For example, cutting back from 8 drinks per week to 4 can already make a meaningful difference in long-term risk. You don't need to be perfect to protect your health. Small, consistent changes, like choosing whole carbohydrates over refined sugars and being mindful of alcohol intake, can have a powerful impact over time. If you can't remember every detail from this video, that's completely okay. What matters most is understanding the core principles and applying them gradually in your daily life. To make things easier, I've put together a simple, practical anti-cancer food guide that summarizes the key points and helps you take action step by step. And remember this timeless wisdom: a wise person seeks knowledge and continues to grow. If this information helped you see everyday habits in a new light, consider sharing it with someone who could benefit. Small awareness can lead to life-changing decisions. Your health is built on what you do daily, so make those choices count.